Frank Ragnow kind of took on folk hero status, D-Mac, when he had his hockey guy moment, where a bone is facing the other way. He closes his eyes for a couple seconds, comes out for a play, and then he's back out there. We talk about Sewell. Ragnow is the one, I think, D-Mac. We talk about how the story of the Lions has become like a national thing. I think Frank Ragnow, Jared Goff's another one, Dan Campbell's another one, but Frank Ragnow is one of these guys where he is Detroit.
Well, 100%. And I think that it's always obviously people understand being an offensive lineman or D lineman, the grit and the analogies that are used, but to play through the injury and just to come out, and say what he said, to the fact of knowing like as much pride, because he just goes about his business, right? And that's sort of what you want with your leader. Some other guys can be vocal and stuff like that. This is what I like, right? Frank Ragnow is going to lead so differently than what CJ Gardner-Johnson is going to lead, right? But in their own way, they're leading. Now, Frank is the...
But you need them all.
Calming, yes, Frank's the calming influence. Frank's the jack of all trades, the one, not only physically, but cerebrally, right? Him and Goff have to be so much on the same page as far as, and when you listen to him talk, as far as what they go through to help everybody else out. So I just look at, how many times do you see an offensive lineman get accidentally rolled up like he did, doesn't see it coming, and then he's done. Mm-hmm. So the fact of and then him say, well, it wasn't going to get hurt anymore, just dealing with the pain. Yeah, I know what that's all about. But again, that's when you dig into playing at home and the fans there, the adrenaline and stuff like that, and to get through it. And we saw the block that he made on a 350-pound guy, Vita Vea.
Oh, my God, that beast.
With Craig Reynolds touched on a fourth down, do or die on one knee. To me, that just epitomizes, I think that picture with him on one knee hold, it epitomizes the season. Never quit.
Doubt.
Like that's what it is. When it comes down to grit at the end of the day and pretty, not pretty, this guy, that guy, right? He is your leader. He is your best player.
Now, this is something I haven't heard yet, and I'm curious to hear it. But Frank Ragnow, obviously, addressed the media. These clips we do have here, and these we can play for you. So here's Frank Ragnow.
Shout out Lions.
To me, the pain, I'm not trying to sound like some brute tough guy here, but I was just more frustrated than anything, the fact that it's just, again, but it was tough, but it was worth it.
What allows you to play through that? Other people can't, maybe?
My parents, I don't know. My dad was one of the toughest people I've ever met. My mom's one of the toughest people I've ever met. And I just take a lot of pride in being out there with the guys, being out there for the city. They signed me to this extension a few years ago, and I want to be fulfilling that, I don't want to be that guy who gets paid and not doing that stuff. I want to be out there and finding a way to win.
D-Mac, I go to you for reaction. Take me through that.
Well, Todd Stain said it the best. Frank is him. And I get that. He's telling you the truth. It's the front, like the pain as a professional athlete, we will deal with them. We can overcome mentally, especially for a shorter period of time. Like, whatever it is, doc, shoot me up, do whatever it is. I'll get through it. I'll play through it. If I'm not going to hurt anymore, it's just going to be the pain. The frustration, I love that he talks about it because it's just frustrating because I got shit to do here and you're not helping me out. Yeah. Come on, leg, let's go, right? It's a bit, but that's the warrior in it. And then when he talks about, now if we know Frank Ragnow's story about losing his father, younger age and stuff like this, and how he helps his foundation, helps with that. There is something to wherever you draw your intestinal fortitude about. And Frank Ragnow, if you look at him, I would say at lineage and history and his forefathers and relatives that aren't here anymore. You have a conversation with your son. I used to have my dad and my grandpa and my uncle and stuff. I used to always picture them sitting in lawn chairs up in the rafters watching us, for the cups and stuff like this. And there's something to, what do I always say? You got to get outside outside yourself, right? So whether it's your teammates that he's already invested in and stuff like this, or you need something on a different level you draw to when he talks about his parents and the sacrifices they've all made. And we do think back to that. I think back to my waking up in the back of the car, my dad driving through snowstorms to get you. So am I going to allow this moment that I've worked for? And that just, there's something to it. And as human beings, we can all relate to that, because this is just him, right? Okay. It could be Frank Ragnow, could have been that roofer guy that had to finish this roof as the storm's coming in, and he knows he's got to get it done, and he's going to get pelted for the last little bit, but he's up on that roof, and him and his buddies are trying to get this done before the storm comes in, and it doesn't matter. And yeah, who cares? And it starts hailing and snowing or whatever, but they're dedicated to doing it, right? This is him doing his job to the best, one of the best to do it that we're watching right now, and not letting anything get in front of it. And we've seen it. So that goes back to individual, right? Of what your fortitude and everything is. So I always love the fact that, Frank's not one that wants flowers, needs flowers or whatever else, but the appreciation. See, all you want when you're sort of the grunt grind line guy is this appreciation from the guys around you. And he knows he's got that.
And the best part, I thought, of those interviews, well, the one, Dan Campbell in his press conference said, he's like, Frank Ragnow's the best center in the NFL. I think Frank Ragnow's the best center in the NFL. And my favorite part of Frank's interview is when he gets there, as a big ugly myself, as a trenches guy, you never get the shine, you never get the praise. So he's not used to being up there doing these questions, and in real heavyweight fashion, he sees the Gatorade bottle that's out there for a prop. He's like, "Can I drink that?" It was so good.
There's another great moment where there's a picture when they're going to interview. I think Melissa Stark's going to interview Jared Goff. And Frank Ragnow standing beside me. You see Jared Goff go, "Take your helmet off, bro."
Yeah.
Like he's never been there before. Like, he's standing there offensive line, getting ready for interviews with the helmet off. And Jared, it was like, big brother, little brother sort of things. Like, hey, man, dude, you're in the moment like this. So do you love that? Because that just shows you who the person is.
Oh, yeah.
And I have to go back to this too and come full circle. And nobody knows this except the people I was hanging out with that night. I have to turn the finger and point at myself, because I do remember that draft night. I was working for a different talk network entity at that time. We were having a draft watch party at Rochester Brewery or something like that. And I called it at the time the most nondescript draft pick in the history of the Detroit Lions franchise.
Was that a Bob Quinn pick?
I said that. Yeah.
Was that a Bob Quinn pick?
20.
All right, so we finally found it, guys. Something he did good. Something he left us. There was that treasure. Sometimes, the grandparents or, somebody passes away and then it takes years and years and you find something in the attic or something like this. Thanks, Bob.
Yeah,
Sorry.
and I have to come full circle on it because, and look, that's partially the nature of it, and it goes back into what you guys were saying about the whole interview process. But you look at it, and here are the Lions picking at 20, and they take a center from Arkansas, right? Like, it just doesn't jump off the page at you. And and it was a classic draft, right? Like DJ Moore went a couple picks later, Calvin Ridley went a couple picks later, I believe. Lamar went in that draft. I was actually bigger on Will Hernandez at that time. Nick Chubb went a little bit after that. You know what I'm saying? Like those were the names that I was going to. So I do have to say that Frank Ragnow, for the most nondescript draft pick in the history of the Lions franchise, has been one of the best in the history of the Lions franchises. Because how many times do we have the best player at a position? And guys, this all ties into it. This is very, very simple. Frank Ragnow is the best center in NFL right now, right? That's Dan Campbell said that. That's not me saying it. Penei Sewell, forget about it. He's already the best offensive tackle in the game right now.
Best offensive lineman.
Yep. Yeah, best offensive lineman in the game right now. Amon-Ra's closer to the top than he is to number 10.
Keep
at his
pissing
spot.
him off. Keep making him mad.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you notice a theme here. Good players.
And where do you rank our running backs? You know, either individually or collectively. Because I like to put them in a collective pile.
If
I don't think it's bad
Gibbs
to
were
do
a
it.
stock, I would recommend you buy it.